So let's proceed to assumption 4. Tests and other measurement techniques have strengths and weaknesses. Competent test users understands a great deal about the test they use. So, test user, dapat kabalo sila kung how a test was developed o kung kinsa ang appropriate na tao nga administeran sa test ug dapat kabalo sila kung unsa ang naa sa test or any informations about the test ug kung kinsa nila dapat i-administer. And they should know how the test results should be interpreted. So, competent test users understand and appreciate the limitations of the test they use as well as how those limitations should be compensated for by the data from the sources. So, as a test user, they should know the test that they use and are aware of test limitation. Is emphasized repeatedly in the codes of ethics of associations of assessment professionals. So dapat ato yung gamiton ang ethical codes as our basis. So let's proceed to assumption 5. Various sources of error are part of the assessment process. So let's define what is error. Error traditionally refers to something that is more than expected. It is actually a component of the measurement process. More specifically, error refers to a long-standing assumptions that factors other than what a test attempts to measure will influence performance on the test. So, when you say errors, it influences the results of the test and the test itself. So, for example, if ang test taker is na mali o shades iyang answer, imbis na katong isa iyang shadean, lain na noon. So, we consider it already as an error. But if katong mas mudaghan pa yung error nga mahitabo, the more nga dako ang iyang influence sa result o sa test. And for example, ang assessor, idig mamali siya hatag o test sa isa ka tao, it is already considered as error. So, there is the word error variance. That is the component of a test score attributable to source other than the trait of ability measured. So, there are many potential sources of error variance. In a more general sense, then assessees themselves are sources of error variance. Assessors too are sources of variance. For example, some assessors are more professional than others in the extent to which they follow the instruction governing how and under what conditions a test should be administered. In addition, the assessors and assessees measuring instruments themselves are another source of error variance. So, instructors who teach the undergraduate measurement course will occasionally hear a student refer to error as creeping into or contaminating the measurement process, yet measurement professionals tend to view error as simply an element in the process of measurement, one for which any theory of measurement naturally account. So, some professionals say that error is appeal na siya, part na siya sa measurement or sa process of psychological testing and assessment. And classical theory, test theory explains that. So, in what is referred to as classical test theory, also variously referred to as a true score theory, the assumption is made that each test taker has a true score on a test that would be obtained but for the action of measurement error. So let's proceed to assumption 6. Testing and assessment can be conducted in a fair and unbiased manner. Today, all major test publishers strive to develop instruments that are fair when used in strict accordance with the guidelines in the test manual. One source of fairness-related problems is that the test user who attempts to use a particular test with people whose background experience are different from the background and experience of people for whom the test was intended. So for example, heated debate on selection, hiring, and access or denial of access to various opportunities often surrounds affirmative actions programs. Another example of fairness-related of problems are the biases. So for example, the cultural test bias. Cultural test bias can happen when the instrument used as an assessment relies too heavily on cultural-related values in variables such as ethnicity, race, class, gender, or level of education. In all questions about tests with regards to fairness, it is important to keep in mind that tests are tools, and just like other more familiar tools such as hammers, ice picks, wrenches, and so on, they can be used properly or improperly. So now let's proceed to assumption 7. Testing and assessment benefit ng society. So testing and assessment is na po siya benefit sa atong society. Yet a world without tests would most likely to be more a nightmare than a dream. In a world without tests, teachers and schools administrators could arbitrarily place children in different types of classes simply because that is where they believe the children belong. Considering that many critical decisions that are based on testing and assessment procedures, we can readily appreciate the needs of tests, especially good tests, and of course, raises one critically important questions. So imagine without tests and assessments. So for example, walay test and assessment. So, ang ato ang mga government officials karon, basically mo tong dili maayo, dili ka balo mo handle kung unsa mga dapat buhaton, di ba? So, ato ang mga workers, biskang if walay test, how can they work? Nga wala, what if masakiton dito siya? Wala man ni aging test. So, the way sa ihang working time is dili productive. Or na possibility nga maka-hire ka og kanang mga job takers nga di kabaluan na for the sake lang mga kwarta is ilan na lang i-take na nga risk, pwede sila kabalo, so lugi ang imuhang company. So testing and assessments hold the benefits in our society. For instance, in our government, before elected, our government officials was undergone test and assessment, wherein in a process of evaluations happened if they are capable of doing their job or if they qualified to lead our nation. And by the help of tests and assessments, we will be able to produce good and quality officials.